Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Hello and welcome to It's Only a Game. In a week where the bees got stung, the cherries got popped, and the blades were put to the sword. We're just hoping our nicknames don't come back to haunt us. Greg, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing all right. Yeah, Rochdale are in the playoffs. Won at the weekend. Yeah, can't go wrong. Yeah, fine. How are you, Jim?
I am not so bad. I've been much worse. Obviously, we are joined by a very special guest today. We're joined by our old mate Glynn Parry. Also, nice to have another Evertonian on the podcast. Glynn, I'll let you bathe in the glory that was Saturday evening. And not often we get to enjoy a bit of that, do we?
Hi lads, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a long time no see to both of you. And I've actually come onto your podcast and Everton have won, so that's unbelievable because we never win, do we? I don't know what's happened there, to be honest. It's probably because I didn't go, because I go to a lot of the games, and when I don't go, they seem to go pretty well. So quite a few text messages coming through saying, "Don't go again, Glynn, don't go again." So yeah, there we go. What do you think of the game, Jim?
I thought it was deserved to win it, which is rare you say that. I think it's quite interesting you said as well about not going, because there's a mate of mine I work with who goes home and away. I don't know how he does it. But the last two away games he's not been to were Brighton last season and Brentford at the weekend, where obviously you might have worked out that's a 5-1 win and a 3-1 win, and he's seen some absolute stinkers in the meantime. I thought we played really well. I must say though, I think to flip it, Brentford, don't get me wrong, they're a good side. They came as a top half last season. I think people might need to reevaluate where they're putting Brentford. Very well run club, but obviously missing Ivan Toney, obviously missing David Raya in goal. And I just thought we controlled the game, which for us in any game is weird in the last couple of years. But to go away to a decent side in Brentford, and one that can cause damage and nearly did. It was a professional performance where we started pushing up a bit higher, which I think gives us the attackers a bit less room to need to, between the midfield and the goal, gives them more time and more space to sort of actually attack. I thought Decore was everywhere, and I think he's on for our top goal scorer of the season already with his 2 goals. I can't imagine many more players going to score more than that this year. So, no, but in all seriousness, it's one of those games that normally happens to us. Like Tarkovsky scored against his old club. How many times is it usually somebody scoring against us that we had played for us? It's like I've already got visions of Iwobi scoring against us later on in the season at Craven Cottage, and it's going to happen. And if it wasn't for the loan rule, I'd be shocked. Would have been shocked to see Neil Maupay get chucked on and score against us if he was allowed to. But honestly, I was made up, and like I say, it says a lot about sort of my anxieties and Evertonian that I thought I'll just stick the England Chile rugby game on for now, just because at least I know England are going to win that. Because I just know we're going to get humped, and then it was like, fuck, we scored, right? Oh. So flipped it over, and just as we flipped it over, Brentford literally put the ball in the back of the net about 5 seconds later. So I was like,
I think the big thing for Everton is probably the performance as much as the result, because we needed the points, but we've not had a performance where the players have sort of been able to get that confidence in themselves, probably. We've lost 1-0 at home 3 times, which 2 of those games we played okay, you know what I mean? We probably should have won, but we just didn't have a striker, and I think that's what you touched on there. We had a striker, and then we had another striker to bring on in DCL for Beto, and we've not had that for probably 3 years, maybe 4 years. I don't know how long. invaluable.
Yeah.
But that comes down to investment, doesn't it?
Bench. Yeah. It's nice to sort of, like I say, how many times you look at the bench and gone, bloody hell, there's no depth there. It's all just, unheard of kids or just players out of form. Or so. No, I like I say, it was weird to see a performance that I actually quite enjoyed, and in the end felt satisfied. Like we hadn't just smashed and grabbed it; we'd genuinely gone and won a game deservedly against a decent side. So no, made up. And like you said, I've been impressed with Beto so far. I think you obviously went to the Doncaster League Cup game and made his debut. What do you make of him? Obviously coming from Udinese, big signing, a lot pinned on him, considering the pressure to bring it forward. What have you made of him?
Well, I think he's a bit more of a kind of a battering ram type of forward. I don't think he's the most technically gifted, but I think he's just a presence. He's a big guy. He's pacey. He worries defenders, and I think when we brought DCL on, you could see that he's got a bit more quality than Beto, but Beto is a different type of big forward, if that makes sense. So I think it's invaluable to have options in different kinds of profile strikers, even though they're both 6 foot plus. Beto 6'4", I think. I think it's invaluable to have those options, and I think as well, Dwight McNeil coming back into the side, that helps your centre forwards as well, because he's got genuine quality, and he sort of drifts into different positions, and he also tracks back, which I think this is why we've lost some of these players like Damari Gray and Alex Iwobi. I don't think they were so keen on doing the dirty jobs, and we're looking a bit more balanced as a team, I think.
No, absolutely, and somebody exciting to see come into the team when they're free and available is Jack Harrison. I think we forget we've got him on loan from Leeds, and ever since I saw him for New York City in MLS, I thought he's a cracking player, and it took me a while to realise, he's English, and okay, sound, brilliant, and I rate him, and I think like if we get him fit and firing, obviously McNeil gets back to full fitness as well, we've got players that will do the whole graft, track back, get forward, create chances, have legs. And don't get me wrong, we're not going to be brilliant. We're not going to be pushing even for top half, I wouldn't suspect, with the quality and squad we've got. But you look at the squad and go, there's quality there that means that we really, on paper, you think that team should not be getting relegated. But the way things have been the last 2.5 years, there's no like whatever. If we go down, it's on merit because we've been that poor. But the players we've got, the talent we've got, compared to some of the sides around us, we really should be at least a comfortable mid-table. Which, again, ordinarily you wouldn't say is good enough for Everton Football Club. But in context of the last few years, you'd take a nice little 13th finish now with no drama and no great escapology on the final day, wouldn't you?
Quality there with the youth as well. We've got Onana, he's only 22. James Garner were fantastic on the right. Put that little ball through to DCL. And I think the one player who stands out when you watch Everton at the moment, if you watch the last few games, is Jared Branthwaite. He just looks like a different class of footballer to me. He looks like he could play for anybody in the world, to be honest. I know that's it's high praise, but the Blades fans were giving me a bit of grief and that. And they were saying, "Oh, he's crap at the back in with blonde hair." I was like, honestly, just watch him. To me, he looks like another John Stones. I know John was quite thin and kind of, he wasn't really built up then, but he looks like he could play for Man City to me. Do you know what I mean, Branthwaite?
Well, the PSV Eindhoven fans loved him from his loan spell last year, and he won the Dutch Cup there and stuff, and came second in the Eredivisie. So I mean, and that's not that's no mean feat. That's a hell of a standard to be playing at as a young lad, and to be having that expectation, that pressure to be challenged at the top end of the league. And I think, John Stones is about as close a comparison as can make. To the point where I think after the Brentford game, obviously took to Twitter because don't we always? And Everton Twitter is a dark, dark place. Even when we win, it's a dark place of villainy and scum, isn't it? But like it really is grim. But one guy put up, how long till Guardiola puts a bid in for Branthwaite? And we're like, don't, just let us have nice things for a bit. But in a way, you're kind of going, I can see it though. I can see it. If Branthwaite has half a decent season, what odds on Guardiola slapping 30 million in January? You think that's the kind of thing City you'd do? And you're thinking, for fuck's sake, and we'd accept it as well. But
the press was saying in the summer, they were saying that we were going to sell him for 7 million, Branthwaite. And even I knew, and I think other people were texting me and that saying, nobody believes that story. No Evertonian believed that story, but it was in the Daily Star opera, you know what I mean, or something. And he's probably worth 70 now, played 3 games. But
he's had 2 decent games. You'll have an England call up in no time, and he's worth about 100 million. That's the nature of the English player in Premier League tax, especially defenders. But no, like I say, rate him. I think I can't remember when I first saw him when we signed from Carlisle. I'm like, who's this kid? But I think he played a few league games before going on loan
he
to
did.
PSV.
He played at Goodison a few times, and I think he got sent off.
And he was all right.
I think he got sent off, and then he got loaned out. Really, and I think that he needed that loan. Did need that loan.
Yeah, you need to grow and be a bit more mature in that. Which you do find with all the young players, especially defenders, there's a maturity needed to play that role and not get too frustrated or not let one mistake get the better of you, because it can be so costly in that part of the pitch in particular. But now he's become really, really confident, and I think it's helped that he's had Tarkowski alongside him, who's proved himself to be a really good captain in the last few games. I mean, I know a lot of people, like myself, were saying, why has Pickford had the armband stripped of him? And that's nothing against Pickford. He's a fantastic keeper. He's still England number 1. Ramsdale's on the bench again on Saturday and Sunday, so still England number 1. But as well with Pickford, you get the feeling sometimes he's a bit too emotional. Even though he's grown up, he's matured a bit. Obviously a bit more settled now. He obviously likes the area, likes the club. He signed a new contract and that. You still feel he's a bit too emotional, and also his ability to control or dictate the game from being in goal is much harder than, say, Tarkowski's is being a centre half that does like to get forward, as was proved with the set piece goal on Saturday night. So it's one of those things. It's been a weird start to the season because, like you say, the Fulham game, we weren't exactly breaking down any doors, but we could have got something from it. The Wolves game was just like, for fuck's sake, that was an absolute joke. But the Villa and Arsenal defeats, you can't just go, all right, fair enough. The Villa game, we were atrocious. The Arsenal game, Arsenal are a bloody good side. You get those games. People were already complaining, for Dyche's head, and it's like, well, hang on, how many more managers are we going to go? We're going to try and have all the managers, and then no one left to manage us. One of us by the end of it. The amount of coaches.
I feel a lot like we'll get beat by the better sides, and there's not going to be much about that. But we've just got to beat the teams who are around us, and that's what we have to do. And if we can beat the bottom 3 at the moment, Luton, Sheffield United, and Burnley, at home, and then we don't lose to them away, we're going to pick up enough points to stay above those sides because it becomes difficult for them to catch you up. But I think the problem we've got now is we've scored no home goals and 5 away goals. Got to do. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we've got to do something because our next 2 games are Luton and Bournemouth at home. We need. I say, in any normal season, you look at those fixtures and go, it's 6 points. But in the context of even at this early stage of the season, with the lack of quality, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I include us in that lack of quality at the bottom end of the league, but it's a particularly poor bottom end of the league this year. And I conclude Bournemouth, who look okay, but not brilliant. You don't know if Areola's going to get it right there. Wolves look sketchy. Chelsea, obviously. But they're down there with us. But, they're only a point ahead of us. If we'd have got a point out of somewhere, we're doing above them. But we need to be getting 6 points, not just to get confidence in front of the Goodison crowd. It's going to be an angry Goodison crowd, but to pull away at this early stage of the season and almost be not safe, because you're not safe in September, let's be honest, or October.
No.
But psychologically, to give that blow to teams that are around us in that position. Because yes, we are going to, hate to say it, we're going to lose both the derbies this season. We're going to lose. If we don't, it's a minor miracle because they look on fire. But
it's a bonus.
If you offer only if you offer every blow, you go, look, okay, you're going to lose both derbies, but you're going to finish like 13th. You're not going to get relegated. It would be horrible, but you go, you know what? Take that over what happened last season, which was horrendous. You got to look at the bigger picture and say, look, if this club goes down, we don't know going forward what's going to happen with 777 with the new stadium, with the cut in revenue, championship football. It could even get worse from there. You just don't know. It's such a hard league, the championship, as we all know.
And looking back now, we know had we got relegated, we would have gone into administration. That would have been an automatic points deduction in the championship. We would have had serious problems. And I Go on, you're all right.
No, and that's still lingering over us. I mean, and Leicester had to slash their budget by 2/3, and they're still doing well this year. But
Yeah,
they're still very much in the red with the wages they're paying some of their top players, and look at the players they've got rid of, and that's still hanging over us now.
I suppose the two games that you talk about, the Luton and Bournemouth, both at home, so it's you can completely get behind them with a home game. Hopefully, it's I mean, I know we're only talking about it so early in the season, but it's weird that they are quite sort of important games already, aren't they? In terms of big opportunities, more
Yeah.
I guess, more of a big opportunity than anything. And then you've got Liverpool. I think it's Liverpool away after that. Oh, crikey!
That's right.
It's 3 difficult games, really, or 2 potential banana slips anyway.
Yeah, but it's just like Everton. We're all on this, but sort of we feel a bit better about ourselves now, and then we go and lose to Luton. That would just be Everton all over, and then we go and get a point at Anfield. But I just think if we can beat Luton and hopefully Bournemouth as well, I just think then we're in control again then, and we can afford to lose at Anfield and afford to maybe take some risks there, rather than just sort of 11 men behind the ball and lose 3-0. I think with the 7-7 thing as well, I think a lot of people are really negative about that. There was people in the away end, I was told, with banners saying against 7-7 partners taking over and stuff, and we're just like, we seem to be stabbing ourselves in the foot in every direction. It's just on the pitch, off the field, fans, even the fans forum, which was designed to get fans on board and sort of have a vehicle to complain about things. The fans don't even like the fans forum. So yeah, it's Everton is the biggest mess going, I think, in English football at the moment. I don't know about Rochdale.
We're all right at the minute. At the minute, we're all right.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say really. I think
Yeah, I think within the Premier League, we are the biggest mess going. I would say for so many reasons. I think at least we've got a fan base that's divided at the moment. I think we've got a fan base that we've got half the fan base that just want to be comfortable, and another half that remember not just the good times, to quote Mr. Penright,
I remember
but
that.
the really good times, the winning leagues and cups and going into Europe. And
yeah, well, I think the interesting thing with 7-7 partners, if they do take over, is that they are the multi-club model. Have you spoke about that at all? I don't know if you spoke about it. No, so I think that's the scary thing for Evertonians. It's you sort of become one big club, don't you? Sort of in a way, and I think they do plan to put Everton at the top of the tree, kind of thing, and have Red Star Paris in the 3rd division of the French league will be the bottom team in it. But I don't know how well these things tend to work, in football. It is kind of crazy times, but I think a lot of money is going into the new stadium, so we don't have much money to put into the team. To be honest, I think that's a lot of it. And the Russian war, COVID, other things have affected his finances, so it's been a bit crap.
Yeah, it's I saw one of there's like a little list to do with who the 7-7
partners they call themselves. Yeah,
that's it. I saw a list of the teams that they're associated with.
I have got them. Yeah, Sevilla. They've got a minority stake in Sevilla. That's only 6%, so they don't really have much to do with them. They bought Genoa, Hertha Berlin,
yes,
Standard Liège, and Vasco da Gama in Brazil are the big clubs, kind of thing. But I think Hertha Berlin are protesting every game about them. Standard Liège are in a relegation battle, even though they're one of the biggest clubs in Belgium. I don't know about the Brazilian side. But,
Brazilian side, Vasco da Gama. Funnily enough, they were bought by 777 when they're in the Serie B, Brazil. They're a big club, but they went down because Brazilian clubs just do that sometimes. There's that many of them. But then they've come back up, and now they're like at the bottom of the Brasileiro Serie A, so they're not doing particularly great either.
Where they'd expect to be, though.
Well, yeah, but I think there's more going on than just, hey, we're newly promoted. I think it's a case of they're really not doing very well at all. So I've got concerns of a 7-7-7. I've heard a lot of people like Hertha Berlin fans, Genoa fans talking. They took over and both clubs went down. You've just lose a Standard Liège. There's a whole portfolio of clubs there that I'm not sure they're the right thing. But we can only see. To be honest, Mashiri wasn't being the right thing anyway. So.
Yeah, well, I suppose time will tell, and
Yeah.
only the partners even said themselves they're not sure they'll pass the Financial Conduct Authority approval. So that's interesting as well, to be honest.
I mean, that's in a way that's concerning when you think about some of the absolute rogues that do pass the financial authority stuff. When you think about the guy at Southend, when you think about some of the owners that we've got at the moment up and down the Football League and that are horrendous, it's
especially in the lower
how
leagues.
bad have you got to be to not pass them? I think I could pass that at the moment, and it's like I have, let's be honest, on my wage, there's no way I should be running a football club. But yeah.
Do you have money? Yes, I do.
I have some money. I have a job. It's like, yeah. Can you pay this wages? Yeah, we'll find a way. Good enough for us, right? Literally, like this podcast, probably buy a football club, and it'd be like, yeah, go on. We're not going to, by the way. That's not a breaking news announcement. We're not buying a football club. But yeah, Glynn, obviously you're in the sort of the South Yorkshire region. What's been the reaction to the Blades getting?
Well, actually, I did actually listen to. So I have listened to some local radio today, and the general thing seems to be that they played okay for 20 minutes. They're griping over some of the decisions, the handball with Gordon, free kick for one of them. But to be honest, I think the free kick was like a foul to me anyway, but they're saying that weren't a foul. So they think they've had a bit of misfortune with the first 3 goals. But to be honest, I watched the game and Callum Wilson was put through on goal 2 or 3 times before they even scored. So they just look miles far too open for me. I just don't understand what Sheffield United's game plan was. I don't know if they underestimated Newcastle or what, but they're obviously very unhappy about it, and quite a lot of them are calling for manager's head. But they've only spent 20 million in total since promotion, and they've sold the 2 star players from last season. It was Iliam Ndiaye, who they sold to Marseille, and Sander Berg, who said he wanted Champions League football, but went to Burnley. But they were the best 2 players in the last season, and they've only spent 20 million on. I think the only player they've really signed is that McAtee from Man City on loan.
Cameron Archer from Villa, Gustavo Hamer from Coventry is a good player. I rate him highly.
The midfielder Hamer, that's probably one of the best signings, isn't it? Tom Davis on a free.
Yeah, they've got talent, but yeah.
I don't think they expect to beat Newcastle at home, but I don't think anybody expects to get beat 8-0, do they?
No.
So it's going to take some getting over, but they do play on Saturday again at West Ham, I think. So
that's a tough game. It's at West Ham as well. West Ham at the.
I think when Leicester. Do you remember when Leicester and Southampton both got battered? 9-0 or something, both 2 similar scores. They both won the next game. So I guess they'll be looking for that kind of a response, Sheffield United fans, but it's tough. I don't see them staying up personally. Did you think they'll stay up?
I'm not convinced. I think they've got some decent players, but it looked to me from what I saw, I switched it on at 6-0. I just switched on, I was like, bloody hell, what's going on here? And it looked like their most creative player was Tom Davis. Now, when Tom Davis is your most creative and brightest spark, no disrespect to the guy, he's obviously a talented player, but he's not an outstanding footballer. He's fairly run-of-the-mill. He's one of those players that if he does a good job normally, you don't tend to notice him. It's only when he has a particularly bad game that you tend to notice, but obviously he was getting much further forward in the Sheffield United side, which I don't know if that speaks to their lack of quality going forward in midfield, or the fact that they just needed to try and just fight all the fires. Or maybe he'd just come on as a sub because all the heads have just gone for some of the players. But I do worry for them. Obviously not that much because at least it's a relegation place that we don't need to occupy. But no, in all seriousness, in all objectivity, I do worry for them and Luton. I do think they are, and I might live to regret these words because social or Luton will go and frigging beat us at Goodison now. So, but I'll say from what I've seen so far, Luton and Sheffield United are a cut adrift from the rest of the league, and I include Burnley in that. I think Burnley have got more about them. Not exactly Champions League level football, but but I think they've got a bit more about them. Burnley they just need a centre forward, but I mean, I think for me, it's a mixture of Newcastle getting 3 early goals in those 6 minutes. Well, Sheffield United's head just dropped, and it was like you see it that many times with teams where collectively, and it's a weird one at professional level where an entire team can just collectively go like that, not one or two individuals, the whole team. And I think the make for the first goal
Yeah.
coming off Gordon's hand, not being
They lost their heads.
Yeah. I think that as well they've gone, well, if that's being given against us, then we're battling against, a rising tide here. This is just not going to be our day.
Yeah.
Perpetuated, and I don't know whether that comes from the manager, whether that's I don't know, quite simply. And there's talk of Chris Wilder coming back there, and I don't think that is necessarily the right choice if they do get rid of Heckenbottom, because he's already been there, did great first year, got relegated the second season, and it's like, well, and then he did bang average at Middlesbrough and Watford. So I mean, I don't see him as a great appointment if he's to go back there.
Well, I think with Sheffield United, they haven't spent the money. They've spent 20 million in total. Where Burnley spent 20 million on that goalkeeper, Trafford, one player, and they got promoted as well. So the owner or whoever, I think he was trying to sell them last season. They haven't put the money in the pockets. They haven't put their hands in the pockets and signed enough quality players. You need experience. Leeds United suffered with that. I think they had some good individual players, but they didn't have any Premier League experience in the side, really. I think in the whole time Leeds were up, this was quite interesting to me, they didn't sign any players that had Premier League experience. None. All the players were foreign, and they eventually got relegated. And I think the one player they did sign with the most Premier League experience was Jack Harrison, and he'd been on loan from Man City. They'd loaned him out. So that was the most experienced Leeds signed, Premier League experience I'm talking about. So I think to stay in the Premier League, you've got to sign some at least level-headed players. I think that's why we've signed Ashley Young, to be honest. I think the Dyche has identified it with us. He's put him at right back and left back and anywhere he can play him in the team, and he's not really doing a great job, really. But I think he's that kind of presence on the pitch where if someone's not doing the job, he has a word with them, or he has a word with referee when maybe the ref's getting on top, or I'm guessing. I'm sort of guessing why he's getting games, to be honest. But these things are big in football.
They are huge, and I think it's telling with Sheffield United the lack of experience. The thing is, they've still got players there, like Sebastian, and there was another guy as well that played. I think Robinson was there last time in the Premier League, Jack Robinson. But are these guys now 2 years on from when they were last in the Premier League? Have they learned anything from that experience, or where's the ability coming in? Davis has got a lot of Premier League experience, but is it good experience, or is it just it's being in a pretty average team? I'd say seriously, apart from his one goal against City like 7 years ago, name me a Tom Davis moment in the Premier League apart from that one, and that's a long time ago. What's he realistically done?
Fluke result, or is it one fluke result, or is it just is it that Newcastle are this mega side now? Because Newcastle, they've not looked amazing to me up to now. They seem to have struggled through games. They played well against Liverpool, but Liverpool sort of had 10 men, didn't they? And I don't know. I just don't.
They're a weird one in Newcastle.
Sure. Did you sack a manager for one game?
No, I don't know. I think Newcastle are a weird one. They've obviously got the Champions League to contend with this year. They went to Milan midweek, got a decent 0-0 draw, but beating Villa 5-1 on the opening day, and then losing to Brighton, sneaking past Brentford, losing to a 10-man Liverpool.
Yeah.
They've been very up and down their start of the season, and I just think they got the bit between the teeth. I think it's quite telling with the 8 different goal scorers as well, that every single one of those players wanted to get their eye in and proves the manager that we're not having a crap season, we're not off form, we're not. And they just saw the opportunity against a sitting duck in Sheffield United, really, certainly in the second half. They just took the opportunities to all stake a claim for, well, we want to play not just, probably we want to be playing Dortmund and PSG and Milan this year, because I think some of those players, I don't think Gordon got on the pitch in Milan, he may have done, but some of them will be wanting that experience. Well, they've worked hard to get to that level and play Champions League, they want that, going forward. And I think Sheffield United were just the unfortunate souls that got on the end of that result. But I think also it's a mixture. You always found with these, it's a mixture of one side being above their level and another side being vastly below. And I think this time around as well is, if you're Sheffield United, you're grossly concerned for how you're going to react to that, because they've been in games. That's the thing. They were in the game, certainly away at Tottenham.
Yeah.
They could have won it. The City game, they could have easily got a point. They drew with us. Okay, fine. It's us. We're not great, but they still got a point. They've played some tough sides and they've come close. So something about them just was complete disarray yesterday, and I don't know if that comes from the manager or if that comes from the players on the pitch. It's very concerning, but I do think they're just lacking that thing.
The crisis club in Sheffield last week was Sheffield Wednesday, not Sheffield United. There was nothing being said about Sheffield United until they lost 8-0. And Sheffield Wednesday are a complete and utter. They're a bit like Everton, to be honest. They're a mess. A lot of my mates support Wednesday, and it's crazy what's going on there.
They're absolutely in crisis. They just seem to lose every week. I think they drew with Borough, didn't they, at home the other day? But then they lost 2.
Got 2 points.
They lost 2. Did they lose 2 at the weekend? They went somewhere and lost, and it was like, it's just not going your way this season at all. They got this.
Swansea, was it? I think.
They went to Swansea, who themselves lost to Cardiff last week in the South Wales Derby. Zisku Munoz in charge, who doesn't seem to be doing much at all, and they just look really poor. I hope for more. Especially after
they got promoted.
Sorry.
They got promoted with Darren Moore, didn't they? With a sort of direct side and physical players. And then they didn't sign any sort of different type of players. They sacked Darren Moore or the mutual termination of contract due to whatever reason. Kept the same players. And then they hired this Isco Munoz, who was Watford manager a few years ago. Play possession-based football. Play from the back, goalkeeper out to the full-backs, and like Man City, essentially. But they've still got League One, pump-it, direct football. And he's trying to play this system. Yeah, Barry Bannon in midfield, and he's trying to play this fancy football with these, let's say, very average Championship footballers. And I think it's just a complete disaster, and throwing tennis balls on pitch and all that kind of thing now. So, the manager will get sacked at some point.
It's worrying, because they are a huge club like Sheffield Wednesday, but they're one of those clubs, I don't know if you can agree to this, correct? Ever since, they went down from the Premier League in 2000 and they've not been back since. They've always been in some kind of crisis. They always feel like there's always something really dramatic going on there. They had Milan Mandaric in charge. They've got Chansiri in charge, the owner now. Yeah. They've always seemed to have some weird shit going on at Sheffield Wednesday. And you think, if you just got your act together, you'd be in the Premier League as one of them. You've got a massive stadium, a huge fan base. You are a huge club. No disrespect to Sheffield United, who themselves are a big club, but the history of the Wednesday. Yeah. You think, why are you not doing so much better than you are? Because they've just been run like a clown show for the last 20 odd years. It's horrendous.
Well, last week, when Man City played in the Champions League, it was 50p cheaper to go and watch Man City than it was to go and watch Sheffield Wednesday play Middlesbrough.
That's mad.
It's like that these days. It's weird. It's like that. You can watch Man City in the Champions League for like 22 quid or 20 quid. And then it's like watching Rochdale's 18 quid. So it's ridiculous. It's Huddersfield are the same. It's like 20 odd quid. I live near Blackburn, and that's 20 odd quid, and it's more expensive to watch Blackburn than Man City in the Champions League, which is, I don't know, it's the weird one, isn't it? Because if you were to look at it like watching Blackburn for 22 quid, you'd probably go, oh yeah, okay then. Yeah. But then when you see another price compared to it, you go, oh bloody hell, hang on, I'm not going to do that. So it's a weird one. Just going back to Sheffield Wednesday, what you were talking about before in terms of who they've had and who they haven't had over the years. Yeah. One name that just slipped in there was they had Gary Megson a couple of years ago. Don't you remember that?
I know him. Yeah, he used to play for Wednesday, didn't he?
He did play for Wednesday, and he was a. I never had any time for Gary Megson, but one of my mates is a Bolton fan, and he went to when Sheffield Wednesday were in Rochdale's division. They're in League One. Yeah, he went. My mate, who's a Bolton fan, went in the Rochdale hen just because he hated Gary Megson. He said, "I hate Gary Megson, and I hope Rochdale win." I went, really? I hate him that much. I've come here today to cheer Rochdale. I went, give off. We won 1-0. And I met him in the pub afterwards, and he's like, "That's made my day. I absolutely hate him." I went, "Oh, okay." Like, do people really go to a football match to hate somebody? I don't know.
If you're listening to the podcast and you're a fan of a club who's been managed by Gary Megson and you remember Gary Megson fondly, please let us know, because Leicester fans hate him because he chipped them off to go to Bolton after 5 minutes.
I think that's the question.
Sheffield Wednesday fans fucking hate him. Everyone hates Gary Megson.
Yeah.
And I think Everton, he's played for Everton back in the 70s or 80s, and I think we just don't like him because it's kind of like cool to not like this guy. He seems to have rubbed a few people up the wrong way. Like, I've never met the guy. I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, but he might not be. Don't know. But it's like a few managers I can think of where
Yeah.
well, your legacy is basically just being disliked by by every club you've managed.
Bolton fans hate him.
I think the weird thing about Neil Warnock is everyone sort of hated Neil Warnock, and now everyone seems to like him now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that's like Roy Hodgson now, though, isn't it? Where everyone used to mock Roy Hodgson. Roy and all this when he was Liverpool manager, then England manager, and all that. But now the fact that he's now so old, it's like, it's a bit mean to take the piss out of him now. Let's just, isn't he old? Isn't he lovable? What a character. And same with Warnock. Warnock himself hasn't changed. Warnock himself has not changed as a character. The Stoke fans were singing about him being a wanker the other day, and he was absolutely fucking loving it on the touchline. And he's even said, there's a reason, and the thing with Warnock, he even said, I don't like Stoke. And we don't know why he doesn't like Stoke. He just says, there's something about Stoke City you don't like. I'm like, all right, well, I'll look forward to finding out why he doesn't like Stoke City. But, yeah, he's one of those now where people just go, isn't he just cuddly old granddad Neil Warnock? And you're like, well, no. It's just he's a bit older, so everyone's like still shocked he's working. But I think he's brilliant. I think he'll be back in another job in no time, Warnock.
He was on local telly and he said he's coming back in February. And whoever wants him can have him, basically. I think he's just going on holiday for a few months. So he's going to be back quite soundly.
Somewhere. Rotherham will rehire him or something. They'll get him back and they'll keep them up.
Sheffield Wednesday? Is he going there?
That's the one club he's not going to.
They're actually mentioning it.
He's like a massive blade, isn't he, Warnock? From the very massive blade. That's Sheffield United fans. There's no way he go Wednesday. Jesus, imagine that. Well, he went in Leeds. But...
I know, but it's the type of shithouse thing he would do.
Yeah.
It's the type of
thing Sheffield Wednesday owner would do.
Warnock's last job to relegate Sheffield Wednesday. My work here is done. Bankrupt the club.
I've sold you, but I've also got Neil Warnock in.
I would love to do that. It won't happen, but I think he'll be back in a job at some point with the Championship or even high-end League One. I don't know where, but someone will take him. He'll never retire, that man. He's amazing. He is amazing, though, seriously. The age he is, he's been managing since before I think any of us were born.
He did a good job at Huddersfield, from far as I know, anyway.
Yeah.
United, Palace, QPR, he did some solid jobs there. He's been around and can't criticise too much. Okay, not every job he did was great. The Leeds didn't go quite to plan, but then that was Leeds in an era where nothing went to plan. No. Again, apart from Bielsa, what has gone right for Leeds in 20 years?
Yeah.
But
I didn't realise he had two stints.
Yeah, he managed them in the 90s as well.
1993 to 1995.
I think him and Steve Bruce both managed
I forgot all about that because there's that many teams that he's managed.
God, yeah. We could have a quiz on Warnock and just naming clubs he's managed. We could be here for ages.
I thought we did. Didn't we have a quiz on that, Jim?
No, are you thinking of the Jermaine Easter quiz?
Right.
The legendary Jermaine Easter
name
quiz.
All the clubs at Jermaine. Jesus, that was...
Don't this.
Name all the clubs.
He's had more clubs than Peter Stringfellow that month.
Yeah, so he started...
This is the stuff that gets on the podcast, and it's just insane.
1980 was... 1980 was his first
managerial
position at Gainsborough Trinity.
Gainsborough Trinity.
Gainsborough Trinity. Wow, eh?
Speaking of non-league football, Greg, Rochdale, they won.
Yeah?
You won late on, away at the team that our hearts sing about. Dorking away. That was so proud of that.
We watched it. Yeah, we watched it. And I turned it off at the 90th minute because we were losing 1-0. I turned it off with about 10 minutes to go, and then we equalised, and then Ian Henderson scored in the 95th minute. And my phone was just blowing up whilst we were in the car, and I was like, what is going on? And I had about 30 messages, yes, we've equalised, and then, oh my God, and then loads of photos of goats. So I was like, right, okay, Ian Henderson scored. I was like, shit, what's going on? So we've got about 12 photos of goats just there, and there's loads of goats emojis. I was like, right, bloody brilliant. But sod's law that I turn the telly off soon as it's, typical. But yeah, we did okay. They were, I think Dorking were in the top 5 last year in the conference, or whatever you call it, National League, as I call it. So away from home, and the pitch wasn't that great, really. It's one of those, it's like a 4G type thing, like it basically like an AstroTurf, really, where when you're running and it flicks it up almost off the floor, like some sort of, I don't know, not quite soil, but sort of gritty bits coming off, like an AstroTurf almost. It was like that. You can see it on the highlights when you're watching the highlights. All the sort of particles are coming out the pitch when they're running, and kicking the ball. Like our manager was saying, like the conditions, because they're a good team, and the conditions. He said I wouldn't have been too disgruntled with a defeat, really, because it was quite a difficult game. I'd have just took it and moved on to the next one, but 2-1 win is incredible. Yeah, we're doing all right at the minute. I think we're in the playoffs, which is.
I think you're 6th or 7th, which is just in the playoffs at the moment. You've had a few wins, haven't you?
Yeah.
You beat Barnet, who were top of the table the other week, and that was a hell of a result, beating them.
I'm shocked by that one. That was the 4-2. Yeah, that was. I think Hendo scored in there as well. Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's been enjoyable. It's been enjoyable to say we got relegated for the first time in 103 years to the conference non-league, and it was really toxic last year with different players just not wanting to be there and just walking around the pitch, and it's just crap. Like it were like toxic and they're horrible, and then some of the players left because they didn't want to be in the conference. So it's like that's fine by me because you're not very good anyway. So like 4 or 5 or 6 of them just left. Who were sort of bad eggs, really, to some degree. And then we've just got these players in that want to play, like Clayton. Is it
Adam
Clayton?
Former Huddersfield, Middlesbrough midfielder. Big beard.
Adam Clayton, former Middlesbrough, Huddersfield. But he's getting stuck in central midfield. He's doing well. Henderson scoring like one every other game. Don't really. I mean, it's early days, but I'm not really like worried heading into a game, which is like quite unusual for us because since Keith Hill, we've not really been like confident in terms of playing football. To be honest, we've not really been. I know we had Brian Barry Murphy, and we had a few decent games under him, but we've never really been playing like confident football for years, really, since Keith Hill. So. Let's see how long it stays for, Jim. It's like anybody in it. Arsenal, anybody can have a blip and it can all turn, can't it, the next week?
You know who you got next, right? Chesterfield at home tomorrow night. You know what Chesterfield are, right? They're top.
They're top of the league.
So that'll be a hell of a match. That. Chesterfield have got Will Grigg in their team.
Also, it's on TV, and I don't think we've won in TV in 10 years.
I am watching that tomorrow.
So something like that.
Is it on? It's on TNT? Yes. I am absolutely watching Rochdale Chesterfield tomorrow. It's happening.
That's tomorrow, yeah.
Chesterfield actually got Everton goalie in there as well. Harry Tyre.
They have,
the goalkeeper.
They have.
Yeah.
Former Chester keeper last season. He did a good job at Chester last year. Yeah, they've got a hell of a squad, like.
Highly rated, yeah.
He is.
He is. Chesterfield fans are very confident of winning the league. Actually, I don't know.
Yes, they are. That's what we understand that as well in terms of Twitter and all kinds of general consensus is Chesterfield and Oldham, but I don't think Oldham are doing too well. I think
they've sacked them.
They sacked the manager last week, which was it was a strange weekend because we beat Barnet top. They were top of league. We beat them 4-2. Bury sacked the manager and Oldham sacked the manager in the same sort of 24 hours, and it's like Christ, like that's a very what a weekend that were like in terms of that's like I don't know, it's like Liverpool battering someone top of league 4-2, and then I don't know what it's like. I can't put anything on in terms of rivalries and teams around us. Like your 2 local rivals, Bury and Oldham, sacking the manager, and then we beating top of league team 4-2. It was like
kind of like an inverse to the normality where, hang on, we're doing well and they're doing shit. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'll take a draw, to be honest. I know it sounds... I don't think they've lost the game. I
don't think
lost
so. They might have lost
game,
one
Chesterfield.
Randomly.
And they've won 1, 2, 3, 4... So they've won 6 on the trot, Chesterfield. So, as you say, They're at the top for a reason, and the favourites,
Yeah.
like you were saying there.
Their
See how we
record,
get on.
yeah,
Take a draw. Take
won
0-0.
9 out of the 11 games, drawn 1, lost 1.
Yeah.
That's an imperious record, considering
That's incredible, really.
they've got.
Have you noticed a big standard in the drop in standard then, Greg, or do you not feel that?
I know they were quite a big thing last year in terms of like Wrexham were in there and Notts County were in there, and it were quite good football and it were quite a difficult sort of division and things like that. But I think there's only been 2 teams that have really stood out this season so far, and I thought Halifax played really well when we played them the other week. I think Dorking gave us a game at the weekend because if it weren't for them 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, they'd have beat us anyway. So I thought they were shaping up quite well, Dorking, and Halifax the other week. But there's only been 2 teams so far. I mean, I suppose, what are we in? Are we 10 games in? Something like that? Let's have a look. 11 games. I'm not like massively impressed with. I know a lot of people last season were saying, "Oh, it's a difficult division, and it's the standard is higher than you think." But there's only been 2 teams so far, but it could all change. It could all change. I think it's more to do with. I think Deck and Jim have spoke about this when Tranmere were in the conference a couple of years ago, and it can be intimidating because of these sort of unusual places that you're going to in terms of like an away day. And I think, was it Boreham Wood that Deck was talking about? I can't remember which one it was, that were quite, not like a cauldron as such, but they're up for it, the opposition, because they want to beat Tranmere or they want to beat Wrexham or whoever it is. It's almost their cup fight. We're not, but other teams, you get them situations in the conference. Jim will tell you.
Yeah, I think
Wrexham are getting that now, aren't they, in the Football League? I think
they lost. They lost
Yes,
5-0 to Stockport. That was beautiful. They're doing all right, to be fair. Like I saw some at Pretton Park the other week, they played Tranmere off the park that game and should have won by more than 1. The danger of the National League, everyone does it, and I'm just as guilty every year, is looking at the names rather than the actual quality of the teams, because you don't know that much about the different players, unless like Chesterfield signed Will Grigg and they've got Tom Naylor from Wigan and obviously Harry Tyler from Everton, and guys that are clearly going to be too good for the level.
Yeah.
But you're in danger of going, oh, look, you've got Chesterfield, you've got Oldham, you've got Rochdale, you've got York, you've got all these former Football League names. And actually, the only unbeaten team is Solihull Moors.
Yeah.
And they're a really good side. But who's at the start, them and Woking and Boreham Wood have been up there challenging the top end of the non-league, the National League, for a good few years
Gateshead.
now. And you're thinking, like,
Yeah.
Gateshead have done
there,
well this season. They battered Maidenhead at the weekend.
Yeah.
They look a handy side, and these less fashionable clubs that have not been in the Football League or haven't been for many, many years, certainly, in some cases. You tend to overlook them because you think the gap's massive between League Two and the National League, and it really isn't. It's the bottom end of the National League, don't get me wrong, is not great. And I feel there's like Southend, because they're there because of points deductions, and they lost down to Fylde at the weekend, who themselves aren't doing great. But overall, the standards, it's so much better and much more professional now than it was even 5 years ago. And it's like League 3 now, basically.
Well, Notts County.
Notts County, exactly. The amount of clubs that go, the amount of clubs that come straight up. I think the fact that they've introduced 2 relegation or promotion places, I don't think anyone's come up from the National League and gone to League 2 and gone straight back down again, which I think it's not happened for many a year.
No.
No.
Whereas the amount of teams that do a double bounce up the divisions, a la Rovers did it. I think Carlisle did it at one point. I think
Luton,
Fleetwood, Luton, maybe
Luton
Crawley, Stevenage might have done it. I don't know. I'm just naming clubs now that might have done it. I've no idea. No, Salford have stayed down a League 2 quick. But every chance that say Wrexham or Notts County could do it this year, clubs do it. It happens. When you ride that crest of the wave, and the standard at the top of the National League is so strong that you then come into League 2 and realise, actually, we've been playing against these kind of quality sides for 46 games last season. It's just maybe a bit more professional, but it's not that different, really. When you get to League 1, it's a different kettle of fish. But even then, our old friend, Steve Evans, just to bring it to League 1, he's absolutely smashing it with Stevenage at the moment. 3rd in League 1. How?
Okay.
And this all started, Greg, you know how this all started, right? With the massive cat.
Yeah, so a bit of a Yeah, we accidentally named your brother's cat Steve Evans, didn't we?
It's
A
quite a
weird
large
one. I don't
cat
know how that
that
happened,
was
but
walking into my brother's old house.
I,
And we called it Steve Evans.
he
And
has a
Stevenage
fat
have been
cat. We
fucking
called it
brilliant since
Steve
then.
Evans.
So we maintain we've been a good luck town.
They've been brilliant ever since.
They've been fucking unreal. So Steve Evans, Stevenage, you got us to thank, clearly, for your rise up the leagues. But no, going back to Dale just briefly, I think it's great to see you enjoying Rochdale, because I know that last season we do this podcast once, twice a month, and you knew it'd be doom and gloom. In fact, to be honest with you, since we started the podcast, mate, we've had 2 relegations since we started this pod. So, I mean, we've been going about 3 years. So, I mean, let's be fair here.
Yeah.
It's not been great. I mean...
I'll just do a little bit more briefly about Rochdale and we'll move on. But, it was quite toxic last season. I think I briefly spoke about the players were quite... they weren't there for the right reasons, a lot of them. I won't say who they are. They've left. Let's put it that way. Big credit to Jim McNulty, really. The obviously ex Rochdale player Jim McNulty, now manager. A lot of people thought he wasn't. They thought he might have been the cheap sort of appointment, Jim McNulty, for us. And obviously he took over last season, and it was a bit of a shit show last season. Who were in charge? I think we had 4 different managers. But just credit to Jim McNulty, really, because we lost our identity last season with getting battered every time and players walking around the pitch not caring. So we lost it completely to what Rochdale really is, to the community and things like that, and the fans and the supporters. But he's brought it all back temporarily at the moment. It's working so far anyway. I mean, it might drop tomorrow, but, you can isolate games, can't you? But yes, so far, Jim McNulty's really brought everything back together in terms of the core squad, what they believe in his sort of philosophy, and then if we lose the game 1-0 and it's difficult conditions and they're flying and he's not too harsh on them and things like that. But just credit to McNulty, really, because I didn't think he could do it, really, just because of the constraints for the club, the attitude of some of the players we had. I thought it's going to be a big ask, this, and it still is. Obviously, we're only early in the season. It's only 9, 10, 11 games for some in this sort of division anyway. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, which didn't think I would be doing in non-league, but it's I don't know. Yeah, I look forward to watching them now, whereas last season and last 3-4 years, I haven't really. But I suppose we've been trying to sort of like intertwine, like Everton, isn't it? Sometimes, Jim, we were both sort of doom and gloom heading into podcast recordings. Both of us, weren't we? Like Everton not winning, Rochdale not winning, and it's sort of. We were just saying at the weekend, weren't we, that Tranmere won, Deck's team, who usually joins us, Everton and Dale. It's like, what the hell's going on? We'll come back to Everton, actually. You've got Aston Villa, haven't you? Is it Tuesday or
Wednesday?
Wednesday. EFL Cup, away from home. What do you think to that one? Do you think that could be a tricky one?
Well, to be honest, I think Aston Villa have got a lot on the plate at the moment. They've got the European fixtures, they've got the Premier League, and then they've got a League Cup. So I don't think they're really taking it too seriously. I think Unai Emery last week even put a weakened team out in the Euro against Legia Warsaw because he's already planned which games he's going to win in Europe. So he's trying to give his players a breather. So I cannot see him putting out a full team against Everton in the League Cup. I just don't think he will do that, Unai Emery. So I think Everton's just got to go there. I think we'll probably play a few. Jack Haddison, like Jimmy mentioned, is going to be a big player for us. He's back on grass. He played for the under-21s last week.
Yeah.
So if there's a chance to get him in, maybe gets Dominic Calvert-Lewin a few more minutes because he's sort of always lacking a bit of game time, Dom. Just tell him maybe don't put your head into too many places, but just get him some leg time and maybe experiment with a couple of the young lads as well, because we've got a few young lads that are on the bench every week now because we just can't fill the bench essentially. So I think we've got a good chance of 4,500, 5,000 Everton fans going down there like normal. I think we've got a good chance of just sneaking a win there. We got battered by 4-0 by him a few weeks back, so it'd be nice to go down there and beat them a few weeks later. But I do think I don't know if I retweeted something earlier. Apparently Villa Park's going to be half empty because they've put up ticket prices to £35, and they've got the European games and they've got the Premier League games. I think they've got about 3 games in about 2 weeks or something at Villa Park, and the West Midlands, as much as anywhere else, is struggling. You know what I mean, financially.
Yeah.
How can you afford to pay 30 quid, 30 quid, 30 quid, 30 quid for every game? Would you pick a European night at Villa Park, or would you pick a Carabao Cup game? And there, what are you going to pick? What do you think, Jimmy, about Everton Aston Villa?
I think that's ridiculous. I think 20 quid's enough midweek. When you've got Europe, when you've got other things going on, especially Premier League club with the amount of money Premier League clubs have, they don't need to be charging 30 quid. For home fans or indeed for away fans, people travelling down from Merseyside to Birmingham midweek in, September, October, no one needs that. Not least for Evertonians, because we've already been hammered 4-0 there this season. I know we keep saying it, but I think psychologically you're going, yeah, no. So it's stupid price. And I think prices generally have gone stupid for tickets. I mean, we discussed it earlier with prices of games up and down the leagues. There's the 20s plenty campaign that came out for away tickets. I think 20's plenty, home or away, really, for an individual ticket. Wherever you're going, I don't see any reason why you should be spending any more than that, whatever the level, whether it's Man United or some non-league game. It's absolutely stupid, but certainly think there should be more deals. I remember at Rovers they'd have quid a kid for the old JPT, Johnston's Paint Trophy games and stuff. We'd go on a Tuesday night for a quid when we were like 14, 15, and you don't see stuff like that anymore, and it's a shame. And I get the pandemic's been a squeeze on a lot of lower league and non-league clubs, but when you get to Premier League level and Championship level, these clubs were barely hit by the pandemic in terms of the gate receipts. Gate receipts don't make much of their revenue anymore. Certainly not in the League Cup. They can afford to drop the prices for as little as they want to just get bodies in the door and create an atmosphere, really. So I don't see why they need to charge that much. So, Greg, you've said about having should we explain this game that you've got, Greg, that you make us do? Torturous game that is.
For some of you that might know, we do a game on the podcast called Dale or No Dale. So you have to name 3 players. One of them has played for Rochdale. 2 of them are completely fabricated that don't exist. Jimmy usually picks one that he thinks is the player. Well, no, actually, you just pick one and then you just come up with your own backstory of what their career was, don't you, Jim?
Basically, we've come up with, what was the fella on our group chat we've come up with now? Who's like a staunch little left back, Gary somebody. He's not even real, but we've made him up. But he's apparently played for Rochdale and Port Vale and Bradford in the 90s and 80s. It's not true.
Okay, so basically, I'll just name 3 players, and the pair of you just give me a which one you think did play for Rochdale, basically, and the other 2 are fabricated. But I think Jimmy usually does a backstory for one of them, don't you, Jim? So okay,
there'll be some storytelling.
So I'll name 3 players. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Dale or no Dale. Dale or no Dale. Sean Jackson, Mark Stewart, or Stevie Barlow. Which one of those 3 played for Rochdale? 2 of them are completely fabricated. One of them is the real Rochdale player. So that's Mark Stewart, Sean Jackson, Stevie Barlow.
I'm sorry,
Sean
you
Jackson,
can't just
fantastic.
name Corrie characters, Greg. No. I'm not having that.
I've never even heard of it.
They've all been on Corrie. The real answer is none of them. They've all been on fucking Corrie.
Yeah.
Found them on the Rose Return.
They've all been on Corrie.
Right, who've we got? Sean Jackson, Ken Barlow.
Not Ken Barlow, Stevie Barlow.
Stevie Barlow.
Ken Barlow, did he play for Rochdale? That's the question.
Yeah, there's a story. Sean Jackson, Stevie Barlow, and who's the other one?
Right. Mark Stewart, Sean Jackson, or Stevie Barlow?
Right. Stevie Barlow was the 6th member of Take That that never made it. Straight off. I'm not having that. Mark Stewart. There was a Marcus Stewart who played for Ipswich and Huddersfield.
Are you picking?
And also there's a guy in my primary school called Mark Stewart. So I don't believe he played for Rochdale. I'm going to go Sean Jackson as well. I feel like Sean Jackson. I can picture him being like a central holding midfielder in the late 90s. Not very good. Probably played for Eltham at some point or something. Probably now manager of like Evervale or someone. Don't know. Evervale still going?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. You say you're both going for Who you both going for? Sean Jackson?
I want to say he wore the number 5 shirt because he had Jackson Flower back of the shirt.
Oh, bloody hell, Jim. So you're both wrong, unfortunately. So he's the real Rochdale player is Mark Stewart, and he played for Rochdale from 1993 to 1999. Yeah.
My
and I tell you who he is, Jim.
As well, a mastermind.
The other day,
I never got that wrong.
The other day, I dropped a photo in of a retro shirt, and you said, "Who's that fella?" And he had a bald head.
Right.
That's the guy. That's him.
Nah,
that's
more
him.
Than that. It's a career criminal.
Anyway. Criminal.
Some back
one more.
Abroad.
We got one more. So yeah, probably. Just got one more, and then we'll fly back to Jim. Okay, so Dale or no Dale, 3 players: Simon Peters, Alex Russell, or Jason Shaw. Who play for Rochdale? 2 of them are fabricated. So it's Simon Peters.
Simon Peters is one of the 12 disciples. So straight off, you're right. You're ripping off the
Simon
Bible here, mate.
Alex Russell. And the other one was Jason Shaw. You got that's the 3. Jason Shaw.
I'll go Sean Jackson.
Simon Peters. Who's the other 2 again? My memory's crap at this.
Simon Peters, Alex Russell, or Jason Shaw.
I can picture Alex Russell as a winger.
He sounds like a chaser.
That Liam Lawrence 2007 haircut that everyone had, including myself.
Who did he play for? Go on then.
Alex Russell. I feel like Walsall was in there somewhere. I feel like a cheeky spout the Bescott
Walsall
for a year. It's always Walsall. They've all played for Walsall.
Spell at the Bescott? Who says that? Cheeky spell at the
Bescott. It's my new Walsall podcast coming out soon. Cheeky spell at the Bescott.
Cheeky spell at the Bescott.
And then who's the other guy again? Alex Russell or who? Somebody Shaw.
Simon Peters,
Jason Shaw,
Alex Russell, Jason Shaw.
Jason Shaw sounds like a Rochdale player. In fact, I think there was a Jason Shaw. No, I'm thinking Jason Price who played for Tranmere. God, Jason Shaw, why not? 1 goal in 26 games up front, and then went to Leighton Orient. Why not?
Sean Jackson.
Right, okay, so the correct one is Alex Russell. You got it right there, buddy. Well done. You got it.
You're going to say heads your bet there, mate. See
That's cheating, but I'll let you have it.
Right.
It's fine. I'll give you
Can we just find out, though, if Alex Russell actually did play for Walsall? Just out of intrigue.
Yes, let's do that. Let's just do that.
If he did, I'm claiming that as a win.
I'll give you half a point. Actually, no, I'll give you a full point. I know he played for Torquay after Rochdale, and that's all I know.
Wow.
Alex Russell, here we go. Please. Oh, no, he didn't, Jim. Sorry. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No. Burscough, Rochdale.
Oh, disappointing.
Cambridge, Torquay, Bristol City, Northampton, Cheltenham, Exeter, Yeovil, and that was it. Yeah,
You've basically just remade the start of the Mike Bassett England manager film.
Yeah, pretty much.
Carlisle, Grimsby, Doncaster, Darlington, Blythe. Picture of the pair with a tash. I don't think I've ever got a Dale or no Dale right.
Right, Jim.
In a good year of doing it. I actually don't think I've ever got one right.
You've just gone off on your own tangent to create their own career path. That's
it. I never get it right, so I might as well.
I'll go for Peters. I'll take
Peters. And getting it wrong. I might as well just create little personas for them.
Yeah, I'll take Peters.
So the other 2 are just made up. Then they're not like players that have played but not for Rochdale.
No, I just made them up on the train back home from work.
Because I'm convinced I've seen Jason Shaw play football somewhere, but then it might have been like Dream Team or something. So who knows? He might play for Harchester. Yeah. Played for Harchester United in the 90s. There you go.
Is it Jason Shaw? Is a darts player?
Well.
Oh no, he's a pool player. Sorry, he's a pool player.
Hartlepool player.
Right. Well, a player of sorts.
Right.
No.
On that note, gents.
Jim, you ready for... should we wrap up the episode?
I want to thank Glynn for joining us tonight. It's been suitably chaos with my computer technology issues, and just general tomfoolery that goes on this podcast. But when Everton and Rochdale win of a weekend, which is a seldom seen event, we have to have a bit of a laugh, and we do get a bit giddy.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Greg, for joining us, and thanks for setting up and organising everything. And remember, whether your team won or lost, whether you got spanked 8-0, whether you are top of the league, or whether indeed you had a cheeky spell at the Bescot, just remember, it's only a game. Thank you for listening, everyone. We are part of the Sports Social Network, and we'll see you again soon. Take care now. Bye, everyone.